This is Michael David Cobb Bowen for Cobb Vision, and today's subject for this Black History Month is self-esteem. As we move forward in the Democratic primaries and the campaigns in which Barack Obama is leading the race and getting everybody all very excited, I checked out a YouTube video for Obama that was against Tavis Smiley, which the guy who put together the video thought that Tavis Smiley was perhaps unconsciously working for Hillary Clinton in the way that he was addressing black love for Obama. And my take on the entire thing, between Hillary and Barack, and I'm going to start calling him Barry, between Hill and Barry, is that conflict, which is going to be a necessary conflict, one of them has to win, one of them has to lose, is going to fracture the multicultural ethics that the Democratic Party has been playing up to for the past couple decades. Because they're going to have to say what's more important, women or minorities, race or gender. And I get into that at length. I don't want to belabor the point. But what I do want to talk about here is the notion of self-esteem with regard to identity politics. Because some of the comments that were going on at this video with regard to whether or not our self-esteem, African-American self-esteem, is enabling of the Barack Obama candidacy or disabling. And so the basic question is, if you have an objection to Barack Obama and you say a black man can't be elected president, does that confirm your self-esteem or does it deny your self-esteem? So on the one hand, let's take the deny. If you just say, hey, you know, if you, the way I look at it is, if you have internalized white supremacy, then you believe that whites are naturally superior, then you could say, well, there's no way that Obama as a black man could possibly be a good president because he's black. And therefore, as a black person, you're kind of fearful and you wouldn't vote for Obama because you secretly hope that he would win, but you really think he can't win, and a part of that is because you have negative self-esteem. And on the other hand, there's the black love kind of self-esteem. And the black love kind of self-esteem says, well, I really believe in black folks, and so I really believe in myself, and so as a black person, and so I think Barack Obama can win, and I have every hope that he shall win, and that will vindicate all of us and make all of us feel good. But we were already strong, and we should be strong, and we should put our love towards Barack Obama. Because if you don't, it's because you don't love yourself. Now, I think there's a third option. And the third option was something that was qualified by Ralph Ellison a long time ago. And when he wrote Invisible Man, which is acknowledged everywhere as one of the great American novels, he wrote the preface. And the preface to Invisible Man is really, I think, all that any contemporary African American needs to know. And he tells the story in which he's walking down the street and somebody drops the N-bomb on him. And he looks at the man and he realizes that this doesn't really apply to him. And this person's conception of him is not even realistic, and so he doesn't have to answer to it. On the other hand, he could just, deck him, pow. So the question is, if you truly believe in yourself, if you truly don't have a colonized mind, if you don't have a little evil white man up in your head telling you that you're inferior, then you can look at black folks and white folks and everybody else as individuals, because race hasn't crippled your identity. I'm going to say that again. If you truly have self-esteem, there isn't a little white man inside your head making you think that you are superior or inferior. You can look at everybody as individuals because your mind hasn't been crippled by the racial trap. In that case, you wouldn't necessarily look at Obama and Hillary as a black and white thing in which your personal self-esteem is involved. So you wouldn't necessarily say, well, I believe that I should be for him because I do have black self-esteem, or I believe I shouldn't be for him because I don't have black self-esteem. You just have your self-esteem, and you can look at other things besides what he represents racially, because your own identity isn't tied up into that. Now, I imagine there are several tests that you could test yourself to see if you're really liberated or not. And this is really what the question is. It's a question of black mental liberation. And it seemed to me that the only real way that you can really test it is if you could behave in a negative or stereotypical way, be aware that you're doing that, and still not really feel embarrassed or guilty by it. So, could you eat watermelon and fried chicken in front of white folks and think nothing of it? Or could you do it and say, I really wonder what they're thinking? And those are some examples. I can't think of any other examples right now, but there are opportunities for you to express yourself without being concerned and without having those little creatures in your mind scare you. And at some point, I think ultimately you have to deal with people and debate with people and get into these discussions and see how much it really upsets you, and see how much you really feel personally offended by things that happen to anonymous black folks, or if you tend to look at race in a way that affects you personally. You hear on the radio somebody's been stabbed or shot or raped or something, and you're just like, oh, I hope that's not a black guy. And you hear those kinds of stories all the time. And I suppose it's something that you would expect from young people, but as you get older and more mature, you've got to figure out a way to get those demons outside of your head, so you can be clear. And everybody has their own way of coming to that epiphany. We all recall Richard Pryor going to Africa, and he could never use the N-word anymore because then he saw people finally, and he didn't see what he saw in America. And I would hope that everybody finds their own way. It's what I call the sound of the drum, where you do have that mental liberation. I happen to think literature is the best way, and that's why I use the case of the Invisible Man, so that you can think your way out of that box. Anyway, that is my thought for the day about liberation, and this is Michael David Cobb Bowen for Cobb Vision, and I'm going to smile and leave you.